In the heart of a tight-knit rural community, nestled among vast farmland and rolling hills, there exists a small high school with a basketball team that was on a mission. Coached by a dedicated mentor with a passion for the game, these young athletes embarked on a journey that would etch their names in the annals of Dansville High School basketball history. The previous year had been a heartbreak for the team. They tasted the bitterness of defeat when victory slipped through their fingers in the waning moments of a game. A last-second shot agonizingly rimmed out and left the team with a burning desire for redemption.
Took a 20-point lead at one point over the host Dansville Aggies, but the play started to rock then. Chad Neal to Jeff Minnis, over to Adam Jones, who gets the follow. Then watch this one. Jones with the rebound at one end, takes off running, and at the other end, it's Jones for three. This one goes, and the game is tied up at 56. The Pilgrims look to Jonathan Egricks, who drills the three-pointer. Aggies a chance to tie at the buzzer. It's just off, and the Pilgrims win the district title 63-60 the final. Mission accomplished for Lansing Christian.
They had unfinished business on the court, and the following season, they were determined to set the record straight.
I don't know, just thinking about it, it's cool to be able to grow up and experience that. And, we always played together, and the build up for of years of waiting till that team was together was a long one.
I came in when Adam was a freshman. These guys were all in their freshman year, and I was interviewed by Jerry Allen and Dean Atkins, and Mick was the AD then.
The pressure that I kind of was under, because if you didn't know it, Jim had never been a varsity coach. And we had three coaches that I had interviewed, and came down to Jim and these other three guys, and they both had experience. But there was something about Jim that I thought our kids would respond to. And so I met with Jerry Allen after that, and he and I sat down and re-interviewed a couple of them. And we both agreed that hiring Jim would be a little interesting, but we felt like he would fit in with our community, and he would also fit in with our kids.
One of the first questions they asked me as far as my coaching interview was how I felt about bringing freshmen up on the varsity team. So I've had two instances where I had to be able to justify doing that, not only with the administration but with the parents. And one was Adam's freshman year coming in. If he's good enough, yeah, I've got no problem bringing up a freshman.
I knew there was pressure there because everybody knew that 7th grade class with Brad and Bobby and Greg and those kids were going to be something special. And then knowing that Adam Jones was, going to be a 9th grader, that something was going to happen when Adam got to be a senior and those guys were sophomores.
There was a talent pool here that was coming, that was here and coming through, and now how excited I was to start coaching, being my first coaching job.
He came to me, Greg's freshman year, and I was a JV coach. And before the season started, he wanted to have a conversation. I'm thinking I'm going to have this hell of a JV team. Well, Jim comes in and he said, I want to throw something at you. He said, I want to bring Brad and Bobby and Greg and Ryan and Jeff up to the varsity. I just, I was taken back a little bit by it, and I said, well, explain that to me. And he said, by the time Adam's senior year comes around, and those boys are sophomores, they've got to have a year of experience to be able to go play at that level, and so we can win a state championship.
Obviously, the kids that I had were, I couldn't have found a better situation to be in, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was disappointed not to coach those kids, but I always told him I could have taken him a little farther, but that just was ribbing him. I just remember the entire, just a group of guys. I think we were pretty close-knit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we were good friends, I think we were good friends first, and then we became, teammates, and I think that made a big difference.
Well, you had a lot of people that could score and rebound, and pass, and
They're very versatile. Because it was basically Brad, Chad, and Adam started every game, and McNally would rotate about 4 or 5 of us in. I think I started about 8 or 9 games that year. Dennis started probably about 12 or 13 BJs.
And whatever you needed for that game, you kind of matched it up with whatever you needed.
Yeah, it was a lot of. If something wasn't going good, then, but that's the good thing too. You see deep teams, and our second team comes in, whoever was on that.
You knew where someone was going to be because we played together so long, which was to me, I don't see that very often watching basketball nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, right down, you and Eric and Ronnie and BJ and I think Jeff. I just remember, I was trying to think of the kids that didn't start but came in and we didn't miss a beat. It was like as long as I had the right kids combined, you never knew that there was a substitution.
Yeah.
We just played the same way.
Yeah.
And
well, that was the thing with the Morris coach that one time when he was sitting there, because it was like you had everybody off the it was like, well, can't tell kids not to play hard. They're just out there playing.
Yeah.
Even some of the guys that didn't play as much as the starters, they got in there and scrapped and ran as hard as anybody else. And I mean, sometimes that was the goal, to get up enough that those guys could get in and earn some more playing time too. Because I mean, we always played together, so.
We had a bunch of different type of kids on the team. We were also different, but when we got on that court, man, we were pretty much in sync. So.
Because that's so deep. That bench is so deep and versatile.
A school of this size that have a full team of all kids that can, sound simple, but could all dribble, pass, and shoot well.
Yeah.
That was hard to find in this school. That
could all leave here and go to other schools and play, start, whatever, for a lot of schools. And
why that offense works so well, too.
I think everybody on that team was first team in at least one sport. It might not have been basketball, but
I mean, think about the seniors that were on that team. They were all super good athletes, like Foster and
Ronnie
good.
And Ronnie Schmidt. Ronnie Schmidt was a really good
Schmidt was he was a good football player, track guy.
Yep.
Then you got Chad and Adam.
Eric Forborth, there was a golf, cause he was phenomenal golfer. He would have been first team golfer. And Lucas, everybody was just was good group of athletes.
You guys in baseball, you and BJ in baseball.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. We just had a good solid group of athletes.
So we just had a really unique mix of bunch of just good athletes coming up together.
It's and they were all unselfish too. We had younger classmen in that team that they could have said, "You're not," you know what I mean? Forget you guys, but they weren't like that at all. They were like, "Hey, what's going to get us wins and stuff?" Adam, about the most unselfish player ever.
Yeah, he led. I mean,
I remember this too. Chad Neal, I remember. I think this was the year before. I think I was a freshman. Where we were doing an inbound pass underneath the basket, and he just told me, "Brad, go to the corner." And I'm not arguing with Chad Neal. So I go to the corner. He just pins his man and my man, and I'm wide open in the corner. All you do is go to the corner, Brad. Boom! These guys were blocked off. They ain't going nowhere. He stand, and then I made it too because I was like, can't miss this one. Chad told me. But they were just all really, really unselfish people, and and they were tough too. I mean, obviously, Ronnie and Chad and BJ, Messer, those guys.
It was right around the time that the Fab Five had come through, and Michigan's offense. They changed Michigan's offense with the Fab Five, they ran a set called Keep Away. That was their thing. And I went down and sat through some practices, went into rooms with them, film rooms, and sat with them and watched. The general got all the principles of this Keep Away offense, and I was like, you know what? I've got a ball club that is just like that should do that, that could do that. And brought that back, and we worked on it. It was a very unselfish offense, and and the kids just clicked with it. I loved how we played with that, and and not a lot of teams could ever do that. Could have done that. And I had a lot of coaches ask me, what do you guys do offensively that makes you so? I was like, I'm not telling you.
With how that offense was, it was like, other than like inbounds plays and stuff like that, there wasn't really like, we never really ran any set plays. It was just instinctually, that was kind of like, I don't know, like sounds pretentious to say we're ahead of our time, but that was like positionless basketball that we had. Just about anybody get the ball could handle it, like, and just go. If you look at our buckets, like there's almost an assist on almost every single bucket that you have. That we, just everyone just going back to moving the ball. Just like say you get a guy like Adam that's passing the ball the way he is, and then now and everyone's excited to be setting screens and picks, and like if you get open, like someone's going to get you the ball. You're not like run around like aimlessly, and like.
Oh well, our plays were calling out a number on the people who was on the floor. If we had it wasn't even a set play, but it was who was going to shoot it was calling out a number and setting screens until they got open. That was basically our thing. So if I called out 20, you're gonna run and move and do that whatever it was until you got a good shot, and we got the ball to you in a good spot. You got the open shot.
To the point about that offense is, and having done this for as long as I've done it, an offense like that, it's an equal opportunity offense.
Yeah.
And the guys that are playing have got to understand who the shooters are and who the scorers are. And so many times you'll get teams that the kids don't understand that. And they think, hey, okay, I'm open, I'm going to shoot or I'm going to drive. And that's what makes teams really good. And that's the good teams that I've had understand that. They play together. They know their strengths. They know when to cut when someone's creating. And for all the years I was with Jim, I would have other coaches say to me, we need to sit down. I want to go over your offense. And I'm like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just playing the game. And when you have really good players, it's easy. And the groups that I started with, that's what he had, is he had kids that played together and understood the game. And that's what made him so difficult to guard.
Find the open man. We don't care who it is. Whoever's open would get, they'd get the ball. But that was a testament of Coach McNally. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Find the open man. Pass the ball. Open man. And we just got used to that. Didn't care who scored.
Looking at the clips that that you guys sent over, like that's like I was like, damn, there's almost no dribbling.
There was
all passes.
All
It's like
passes.
it reminded me like. Yeah, it's like basketball. You don't see basketball like that much anymore. It was just all nobody cared on that team.
Well, that's a lot of those practices were no passing.
Oh yeah,
a lot of the practicing, no dribbling, or no dribbling, and no passing. Just certain people, but no, it was no dribbling.
I remember that. Yeah, we would take the air out of the ball. You weren't allowed to.
Yeah, so a lot of it was that unselfish piece in basketball.
Like if I were to ever get into coaching, like that would be one of the first things I would do. Because you got to learn how to play together. You got to learn how to like set screens away for people to get people free.
And the big part of that is that it teaches kids to move when they don't have the ball in their hand and go do something with a purpose behind it. You can't just run around with your head cut off. You got to go screen for somebody to get them open so they can get to the ball. And that was the whole idea. I remember kids in practice being so upset. Well, I can't dribble it. You're right, you can't dribble it. That's the idea behind it. I don't want to watch you dribble it.
Yeah. I feel like our practices were probably like just our own competition with each other was probably tougher than like probably 90, like literally just the other teams that beat us.
We could divide up into good teams, really good teams and scrimmage against each other. Yeah,
it's crazy, but I remember more practice stuff than like game stuff. It seems like sometimes as far as like real intense stuff. Our practices were amazing. He had amazing practices. for us. His drills and this and that. I mean, he wanted us to. Our practices got pretty intense. I remember getting stitches in my eyebrow on 3-on-3-on-3. I split my I guess they call it like the boxer cut in your eyebrow. I remember having to leave practice, getting like 3 stitches in my eyebrow. Bleeding all over the court. I got elbowed in the eye. And I still have that scar today, Josh. I have that scar on my eyebrow, and I have a scar on my chin from football. And I tell you, I love those 2 scars. Every time I see that scar, I always think of that day I got elbowed. And
Bonding over summer campfires and team camps, it was evident that this team was special. They moved with a synchronized grace, demonstrating an unyielding work ethic and an unbreakable bond forged through countless hours of practice, scrimmages, and team-building activities.
We prepare for that season. We go up north during the summertime to camps. I'll start with the Saginaw Valley summer camp that we went up to, and we're there with I don't know how many teams are there, and University of Michigan sponsored that camp.
We went up to the gym and had two local teams. One that wasn't supposed to be that good, and we played one that was supposed to be top 10, and we ran them out of the gym like 150.
It was fun to play against like the larger teams, Class A, Class B. Where we played, I think it was Adrian or Albion College. We played down there. We played some bigger teams. It was fun to see how a bunch of country boys from Dansville could compete with larger teams.
The funny thing was there was a lot of good teams up there, but Port Huron Northern was regarded as the number 1 team in Class A that year. And we were there. Well, we were playing some other teams, and all the coaches there realized Dansville's maybe the best team up here. We weren't scheduled to play Port Huron Northern. They did a special thing at lunchtime to bring those 2 teams in to play each other. So other people the gym was packed with all the other teams that were there from camp to watch us play. Well, we'd already played 3 games already in the morning, and I thought, well, yeah, we would love to. Let's go for it. So they set it up, us and them to play. Well, next thing you know, we've got almost all the other teams at this camp. There's 22 teams there. All the other teams, their coaches, and us in Port Huron squared off in one court there at Saginaw Valley. Well, it starts off like this. We're down 9-0. We got a little over our head here. And then we're down something like, I don't know, something like what we were in the regionals, 20-8 or something. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't be playing here at Port Huron. But all of a sudden, the kids kind of looked at each other and said, this is ridiculous. Said, no, in a matter of no time, here we come again. And we end up beating this Class A team that has an excellent season themselves. Well, we come back and we beat them by 14 points. The coaches were very impressed. The teams were we just knew what we had all of a sudden. It was just, then the reason I told you that story about Port Huron is because all of a sudden you don't know how that clicked with us on what we knew we had and how good we could be for Dansville. There was no more guessing how good we knew that. We beat their butt. I mean, we came out and just kicked their butt, and they
were doing like 360 dunks in the warm-up line, trying to intimidate us.
The guy came like 2 straight plays. Big, tall, white dude, 6'7", just trying to box him out. I'm trying to jump with him. He just runs and tries to jump over my back, and he does, but they call a foul like 2 or 3 straight plays, and then the coach kicked him out of the gym, and I don't know if they didn't take us that serious, but we ended up beating on them by about 20, 25.
We were playing some of those bigger schools and beat them. As I watch those films too, it just reminds me just how much fun we had together, and that was on and off the court. I was just super unselfish. Group of guys, I just enjoyed it all. I obviously now you look back and you miss that kind of stuff.
Later on, I took the team up north, and my parents lived up on the lake up in Michigan. And the special thing about it wasn't so much that we got more basketball in. It was the time we spent together as a team. And at night we went out there and around the campfire. Yeah. And I remember telling the kids around the campfire, you guys are a very, very special basketball team. In fact, you have a chance to win a state championship. And I wouldn't say that to just anybody or just make that up. I just knew I could feel the chemistry. I felt unity of the team, the talent we had.
So we'd go to McNally's dad's up north, and we played a couple scrimmages up there during the summer against a couple teams, and I remember playing volleyball in the lake and stuff like that, and so there was a lot of team building, just beyond playing games and scrimmaging.
In the meantime, we had a chance to do some water skiing, some tubing, water volleyball, and spend some time around the campfire in the evenings for 3 evenings. And during those campfire things, we talked about UFOs, shooting stars, where they came from, where they were going, morals. We got some work to do. Politics, girls, and of course basketball. And one of the things I had a chance to tell the guys as we sat around the good campfires, fellas, there are not a whole lot of teams like you sitting around right now and talking about the possibility of winning the state championship. You guys, it's feasible for you guys to do that. A lot of teams might talk it, but it wasn't feasible. We knew it, we could feel it, and we had high expectations for ourselves to try to accomplish that. And that group of guys, we worked awfully hard on that. Before the season started, we had, and Lee comes in on this story here. Before the season started, we had a preseason scrimmage here at the gym. It was almost full for that. I brought in Jonesville and Hanover Horton. Bill Dunn was the name of the coach. Had a good program at Jonesville. They had a heck of a team. In fact, they made a pretty good run.
So I was doing my interning with Bill at Jonesville. I went to Hillsdale College, and I was doing my intern. And you hired me late October that fall, and he said we're one of the best teams in the state, us and Hanover Horton, and they were in the same district.
Yeah.
And I told him I was going to be coaching at Dansville. He goes, I'd love to scrimmage those guys.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it got set up. I talked to Jim, and we did it here, and Jonesville was here, and Hanover was here. I think Hanover ended up going, I think they were Class C that year, and I think they made a run to maybe the quarterfinals. But I know record-wise, when we did it at the end of the year, I think we were like a combined 60-5 or something crazy.
Yeah. Al Hess was the coach at Hanover Horton.
Yeah.
I remember I was standing underneath this basket right here having a conversation with him, and their kids are coming in and just dunking this way, that way. And this dark-haired kid's coming in and he's about 6'3", 6'4", dunking like it's nothing to him or anything. And I pointed to him, I said, Al, man, that kid looks like he's a heck of an animal. Yeah, let me tell you a story about that kid. He said, that boy's name's Toby Nugent. He said, his dad's Ted Nugent, the rocker. And I'm like, seriously? He said, here's the deal. I said, he says, well, here's the deal. He said, one day in practice, I'm chewing him out because he's not practicing hard. He's not doing anything. And I asked him, I said, Toby, what's it going to get you to play harder and give me something that matches your talent? He says, Coach, my dad makes $10 million a year. I just don't work that hard. I just don't like to work that hard. We stood down there, the three of us, laughing. Yeah.
I remember practicing against some of the older guys. I remember Chris Kapp trying to hold me to stop me from coming across the lane and having to grab my ankle and hold on to me, knock me down. So it was fun scrimmaging against the older guys. I remember that.
Senior year, before the season started, we scrimmaged Mason here.
Oh yeah.
And we beat them.
Mason had a team. It was my junior year, and they had the 4 kids, like they had Fackler, Van Hout, and Wilberdine, and Schwab. They were all on varsity since their sophomore year. It was supposed to be their big year, and they came into Dansville, and they were cocky, and we ran them on the gym. I don't know if we beat them by 20 or 30, and I remember one of my good buddies, Zach Olson. He's younger, and he was calling me the next day saying, he's like, the whole school is roasting the varsity team. Just roasting them.
I remember that, playing them.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't play us in a regular game.
No, and then the next year, we went there our senior year.
We never lost.
And Hiroshi even scored in that game.
Yes, we never saw you score 3, didn't
Yeah, he walked them so bad, and that's the last time Mason would ever play.
We did go pretty bad.
Oh man, because I remember they were talking smack that game like about something. And I'm like, it was the Osage ones. I'm like,
Yeah, so
they were beating you by like 20. Virginia, dude.
yeah, I remember that they wouldn't play us on a regular game. They'd only scrimmage us, and then
we
never lost one. Oh.
Success in the offseason carried over into the regular season, with the Aggies making a statement early on that they were a team to pay attention to. Dansville started the 93-94 campaign in early December with an away game and a sizable 33-point win over Jackson Baptist. Contributions on offense and defense from the entire team led to 9 Aggies showing in the box score. 3 days later, a visit from SMA league opponent Maple Valley produced an 18-point victory. Another full team effort resulted in 9 Aggies contributing to the box score. On the road again for another non-league matchup, this time the Aggies walked away from East Jackson with an 8-point victory.
Was there a game on there that was even close other than Olivet and Weber?
Yeah, I noticed a couple games here that were closer than what I remember them being. East Jackson,
Oh, then we should have killed them.
Yeah, I remember them being very good. I just remember them the following year.
Yeah, we beat them in the
beat by district finals with Reem and Reem threw the ball down, right? And passed it to Jeff
on his wing in the spot.
Boom, right in. I remember that at the buzzer. I just remember knocking people over because we were so excited for that.
I remember running, and then I hit the ground about half, and I started spinning on the floor, and then like the whole crowd, and then I got real claustrophobic.
Returning to league play, Dansville posted a whopping 46-point victory over Bellevue by putting on a scoring exhibition in front of their home crowd. Another full-team effort on both sides of the ball led to 10 Aggies scoring. The Aggies capped off December with a substantial 57-point victory over Potterville in a well-earned Christmas break, taking their record to 5-0.
Potterville was next.
Oh,
91-34, beat them by 57.
That was a different year, but the year, remember when we went there to scrimmage them? That was the year before, and Jones. I was deathly sick with the flu, and I remember like
it was during Christmas break.
Christmas break. I remember running. I was in the game. We ran past McNally, and I just go, no, ran off the course and ran in.
It's in the game.
And I ran the game. I just ran straight to the gym, and I walk out. I see Adam break the backboard. And then he broke, and I was just
I remember it was so sick. I was like, I didn't even know what to think about that because I'm like looking like just broke the backboard, and then I look over at the coach. He's like, "Well, I guess the scrimmage is over." Something like that. You know, bringing home shards of it.
Yeah, I had it. Yeah.
They were still upset about that backboard. It wasn't a very good backboard. It was a fan shape. They were those old fan shaped back, but it was glass. But it was remember that? And we were like, well, when we come back over here, they could finally put a square one up there.
Returning to action in January, the now number 1 ranked Class D Aggies headed to Pewamo, Westphalia for their first in-season nail-biter. The 2-point victory was sealed with a stolen inbounds pass with 3.4 seconds left in regulation. As the wins piled up, so did the anticipation in the town. The gymnasium, typically a modest venue, transformed into a cauldron of excitement. The community rallied behind their team, packing the stands for every game. The once muted cheers echoed through the rafters, creating an electric atmosphere that fueled the players' determination. Battle Creek St. Philip traveled to the barn in Dansville for a league game that would net the Aggies a 22-point victory. Continuing to keep the trend with multiple scores, 10 Aggies added to the point total. Stepping out of Class D again for another Class C opponent, they traveled to their neighbors to the north, the Williamston Hornets. Dansville trailed by 3 going into the fourth quarter, but a solid performance from the line and a go-ahead 3 with 1:30 left produced a 9-point victory over the favored Hornet. A game that would ultimately determine the league championship was next on the calendar. The 8-0 Aggies paid a visit to league rival Olivet, who also boasted an 8-0 record. With 2,000 spectators in attendance, the game was a back-and-forth battle with 5 ties and 4 lead changes in the first half. The game ended with the Aggies falling to the Eagles by 14 in a game decided in the second half, and where Olivet had to rely on the 3-ball to overcome the Aggies, handing them their first loss of the season.
Yeah, it was our worst game we ever played. Yeah, it was kind of one of those nights that just not a whole lot went right for us. And every time we had a really good basketball team here, Olivet had their best basketball teams there.
Yeah.
I mean, they had good players over there.
Yeah.
And of course, they went on a couple years after that and won a state championship. So they always had a talent pool over there basketball, and we just happened to have to run into their best at the same time. Not, we had chances to beat them too. We had possession of the ball one time with the lead and should have won.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, their good kids were juniors.
Yeah.
They had the one tall kid that was a senior.
Yeah.
And he gave us fits.
I remember that tall kid.
And then they all came
They
back.
were so good. That tall kid played JV when he was a sophomore. That's like how good that team was.
So I know in '95 they made the Breslin. I can't remember if they got to the finals or not. That's the team we should have beat in the regionals that next year and lost in the last couple seconds. Maybe even overtime.
that was at Bellevue.
Was that Bellevue?
Yeah.
Yeah. All those kids were juniors your senior year, and they were seniors that next year.
You just got tired of getting beat by them. You wanted to beat them, and you knew how talented they were. Just couldn't quite pull it off. But they were fun to play against. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Didn't enjoy losing, but I enjoyed playing against them.
Yeah, that was the one. Didn't remember it till later, but what you just talked about when we were prank calling them beforehand at the school.
Yeah, he says we. But
That was part of the rivalry with Olivet Weberville.
Yeah.
They can't call them at school on a payphone. They were payphones to Dansville back then, and but yeah, just anything to throw them off their game.
And I think I remember the person that did that phone call, and I was in class when that person left class.
Yeah.
Dansville returned home and to the win column for another league matchup against the ghosts from seasons past, Lansing Christian. This time, the Aggies would send the Pilgrims home with a 20-point deficit. 10 Aggies scored to wrap up January with a 9-1 record. Hosting the neighbors from the south in the first game in February, Dansville put on a shooting clinic and spread the ball around as all 12 Aggies added to the season-high 64-point victory over the Blackhawks from Leslie. Staying home for the next game, 9 Aggies scored in the 23-point victory over the Orioles from Morris. Another Maple Valley game and a season sweep would put the Aggies at 12-1. Dansville paid the Lions a visit and came home with a 36-point victory. All 12 Aggies scored in the win. A trip to Fowler had some expecting a close game, but the Aggies were able to send an early Valentine's Day 13-point loss card to the Eagles.
So we ended up beating. So I knew we beat Fowler pretty good that year. It ended up 15, I see, or 13, but we were up on them 25. I know that. I remember that was one of those games we were beating their butt good, and of course we let a lot of kids play that whole night. We went over to their place, and we just blew them right out of the gym. So in my memory, I thought we'd finish the game at beating them like 25, but I know it was never even a game.
Yeah.
And then they go on to the semifinals, and I knew where we stood with them anyhow. That was never.
Oh, I remember I was at Breslin for the semis, and probably the worst feeling in the world watching Covenant play Fowler, knowing that we should have been there, and they just killed Fowler. It wasn't even a game.
Yeah.
And then watching the finals, and they just killed the team
out of UP. Yeah, they just blew them out. Yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah, that was one of the fun things too. Like you go places afterwards as you're a little bit older, and they would, the opponent would just be like, "Oh, you guys killed us." Same thing with Fowler, like beating Fowler on the road in a snowstorm on a Saturday. I thought it was 30, but I think it was like 15.
Fowler eventually gets beat in the semifinals in the state.
To complete the season sweep against Bellevue, Dansville handed them a 24-point loss. 10 Aggies added points. Another road game sweep, but this time with a trip to Battle Creek St. Philip and a 7-point victory. The game that was on everyone's calendars was next. The number 3 ranked 15-1 Aggies host an unbeaten 5th ranked 17-0 Weberville team with an overcapacity crowd. The rivalry's I Was There game called on Dansville's media team to set up closed-circuit cameras for the overflow crowd.
But Weberville was a heck of a team. They had that Jim Richards that transferred from Howell, and so
That was always the rivalry, big rivalry. Chris Irvin was the coach there and everything, and there was a lot of respect between the two. That was everybody's, big game.
Ton of excitement going into that game. I think we always felt like we kind of owned that team, like we could always beat Weberville. We always knew it was going to be a tough game. It was going to be a physical game. I just remember just the crazy crowds and just the intensity of the game. Weberville was a really good team. And, if we weren't around, they would, who knows how far they would have gone.
I think Weberville games were the most fun to watch. Yeah. Just because of spectator-wise, the gym was excitement.
Yeah.
There, even at Weberville or even at Dansville, everybody was there. Everybody came out of the woodwork talking about it. All the tickets you had to sell beforehand, to all your family and friends.
Yeah.
And then just the atmosphere, that was probably the most fun part of it.
That was
And
sweet.
if you get in and play,
I still tell people about that. Like we were number 1, they were number 3, and that was Weberville. I mean, the best team they ever had. They had Jim Richards transferred to Howell. They had all 3 lot boys, and like Luke said, tickets sold out like after an hour. They went for sale for an hour the week before, and then they piped it in 5 feet and all the classrooms back when that was a big deal with technology.
People had to sit in the cafeteria to watch the game on the TV. I remember that.
I didn't realize they piped that in. I didn't realize they were.
That was the Weberville game. That was the big Weberville game.
Yeah.
Because did you know that? I didn't even know that was going on.
I think they said it was full because that's where they also did the concession.
I think you still had to buy a ticket for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were banking.
Yeah.
School was making some money off of us. Bringing a lot of commerce. We didn't have a gas station.
Imagine we had a gas station.
No street light, no gas station. No street light.
And I remember playing against Nate Lott and Jim Richards at Weberville.
like I remember people were like, "Oh, he's the best player in the league. He's so much better than Adam, and like we're gonna kick your ass now and all that stuff." And he was a good player.
Yeah.
And like and Nate Lott was a solid player, but they still just like they could never quite get over that hump.
Those kids were great. Our kids got along with the Weberville kids, and Weberville couldn't get past us. I think they probably were the third best team in that division that year.
People got to the gym like an hour, 2 hours early, and Weberville was all over on our side. And we were warming up, like 20 minutes beforehand. And I was saying some pretty crazy stuff to a couple of the guys at school because I'd heard about and then that was the game. And then like I dove for the ball. Jim Richards dove for the ball, and I just feel something hit me in the head, and I was just like, and I turned and I started swinging at Jim Richards, which was like fly hit him, and then like I remember looking up and seeing Dansville's crowd just start coming, like because they were ready to go. And then, like, got stopped. And then they ended up kicking Jim out and BJ wrongly. It should have been me.
Jim wasn't hitting you, was he?
No.
It was some guy. It was a fan.
It was a fan. Watching the tape afterwards, it was Wade got stood up and started kicking me in the head, like when I was on the ground in the middle of the game. So, like, he got Jim kicked out. BJ got kicked out wrongly. And then I was kind of starting prancing around them afterwards because they knew I should have been kicked out and being an idiot. So that was a wild one. Still talking about that one too. The left boys.
I remember the cheerleaders used to like hang up stuff. Like they'd come to your gym and they'd hang up like a paper or something. And I think it's actually a picture in the paper because like half of my offense was. I know Adam's gonna get the rebound. I'm gonna cherry pick and get layups.
Yep.
And like so many times, you get it, throw it down to me, I get a layup. Whatever. I'm about tired of that because I'd done it like 5 times already.
Yeah.
And Jim Richards is just gonna freaking tackle me
and stopped me from getting the layup. And you can see in the picture paper, like I'm right there about to just get mauled by Richards. But after he pushes me out of bounds, of course I didn't make the shot because, I didn't even know I did this, but I ripped down their sign just because I was running into the wall, and I didn't know it. And then later on, somebody told me, like, hey, we loved it when you ripped down their sign. I go, I did? I didn't even know I did, But, yeah, I remember that one. He was a big boy coming at me.
In the final game of the February calendar, the Aggies hosted a still unbeaten 17-0 and number 3 ranked in Class C team from Olivet. The game was close this time as the Aggies fell short by 7.
In Olivet, we couldn't win. We couldn't beat those guys.
Should have beat them.
Yeah, and so it was just, of course,
only team they lost to.
Right?
And just my utter hatred for that team. I mean, seriously, like once they're great, well, I just think of Olivet, that's that one team that we just could never shake. They're a great team. They were a really good team. Brock Peters and, he's the one guy. They had a lot of good players, but Brock always stood out to me. I kind of became friends with him off the court, and we played football against each other too. I got to know him. He was a nice guy. He was a pretty nice guy, and but Olivet was just going to their place and them coming to our place. That was just that one team that I just always wanted to beat so bad, and I know all the other guys felt the same way.
They were over here, and from what I remember, that one came right down to the wire also. It was a heck of a ball game. Yeah.
Olivet, unbeaten. The only thing guaranteed tonight, that would change for one team. We head out to the Big D, and, well, let's head out there. Just a little up top, please. For Olivet, Casey Collins, the J from the foul stripe, and he buries it. Go Olivet. But Dansville coming back. Greg reams the pass down low to Jeff Minnis, who puts it in the hoop. Dansville trying to hang in, but Olivet saying, no way. Nate Whitson for 3. Take that. And Nate says, in your face. Olivet a 66-59 winner, and the Eagles remain unbeaten.
Late in this game, Dansville's only lost this year to Olivet. The Aggies' Adam Jones. With the lay-in right here, the Olivet lead cut to 6. 30 seconds left in this one, and Olivet would ice it at the line. Dansville with no choice but to foul, and they make their foul shots. I guess we're not going to see the end of this one.
The Aggies would then travel to Lansing Christian and complete the regular season sweep of the Pilgrims with a 13-point victory. The regular season would come to a close at Leslie as the boys in black handed them a 22-point loss with 9 Aggies adding to the points. Finishing the regular season with an 18-2 record was just the beginning. The story unfolding in the Heartland would receive recognition from major metropolitan newspapers, and even ESPN took note. With the start of district play, the road to Breslin would start in Dansville.
I just always remember all of us coming together. Breslin on 3. 1, 2, 3, Breslin. That was it, man. That was our goal. Be champions. That's what we wanted, and that always stands out in my mind. We started every game like that. We ended every game like that. We started every practice like that. Ended every practice like that, and that was
our chant. Yeah.
Yep.
That was our battle cry. So.
Yep. I remember us talking about that in the beginning of the year too, like what we were going to do, and that's what we all decided on was the Breslin thing.
Once again, the Aggies drew Weberville in the first matchup of the postseason. With the regular season victory weeks behind them, Dansville knew they were going to get a top-level performance from the Spartans.
But Weberville was, and we played them in that districts, and that was a darn good game. I remember, I think Nate Lott had the ball to shoot a 3, and I think we were only up by 2 or something, and he luckily missed it. And
yeah, they only had 2 losses that entire year, right? To us?
Probably.
I think that when we played them here at the end of the year, they were undefeated, weren't they?
They very well could have been.
Yeah, I thought they were undefeated.
Did I hear you say we were 1-3, ranked 1-3 in the state at the time?
Yeah, I mean, we were all in the top. I mean, depending on what point you looked at, I mean, we were top 3, they were top 3. I'm pretty sure they were undefeated. Covenant was the other team.
And those guys were good. I mean, they were definitely decent ball players.
And that's that. Like you said, like that's cool too. Because I run into Aaron and and Nate still, and sometimes Seth, and always getting along with them. They do bring it up. The atmosphere, because you know, this is a different era. We're like the last generation of no cell phones, and you know, like us three. But there are some guys on our team that would take part. We didn't, but you know, that was the era you go to. You know, I remember one time me and Foster were golfing in high school. We stopped by the Mason Mobile efforts in Weberville, and we're pulling out. We're walking out, and all of a sudden this trucks full of Weberville guys come. Someone told them we're there, and they were there. They were getting out bats. They were chasing us, and me and Dan took off. But
well, I think that, like, for me, for the biggest part of all that, is like I see those guys, the lot guys, and the Richards, and some other Weberville guys. You know, just mention, hey, weren't you on that team? Were you on that football team or that basketball team? They always talk about just the atmosphere during that time. So I think that was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like the guys in Weberville, like we were like, you know, maybe get close to like fisticuffs like in high school, but now like Nate Lott, like he ended up going up with Central, and like we became friends with like a lot of those guys. There's guys from Greg Hungerford and Glenn Simon from Fowler went up to CNU, so I used to play ball with them up there, and a lot of those guys like later in life, like, you know, like we all just got this mutual respect for each other now. And
I mean, I'd rather have a competitive game than just going in and playing against somebody, you know, a lot worse. I'd rather earn it than score a bunch of points, you know.
A hard-fought battle to the end set the stage for a Weberville three-point try. That ball would bounce out and secure a three-point victory. This would be the second year in a row that the Aggies would hand the Spartans an early exit in the tournament.
Played just a couple of days ago, and Dansville won a close one. Dansville has Adam Jones, sweet player. Michigan State's looking at this kid, scores there. Jim Richards has given Weberville a great season. Weberville's only 2 losses this year were to Dansville. Richards scores here. Dansville won at 68-65. Watch Jones on the touch pass inside right here. Beautiful little pass to B.J. Gulick. Dansville goes on, beating Weberville 68-65. Here's the scoreboard tonight. There you are. Hanover Horton also beat Addison.
They're arch rivals from Weberville. Now, these two teams know each other, and the two towns know each other. And our own Dave Ellis says the game went down to the final shot.
Each team came in with just 1 loss, but the Spartan setback came at the hands of Dansville in that very gym. The 1,100 fans were a little fired up, especially the Aggie backers. Adam Jones on the drive, can't get the pull-up to drop, but B.J. Gulick gets the rebound, knocks down the turnaround. The Aggies were starting to pull away. Moments later, Chad Neal clanked from the left baseline. Gulick is there to clean up the mess. 66-54 Aggies with under 2 to go. But Chris Irvin's Spartans weren't done yet. Jim Richards with a spin off the double, counted for 2. Then Dave Moritz with the knockaway. Dan Acker tracks it down, converts the layup. The Spartans cut it to 3 with 7 ticks left. Adam Jones can't put in the free throw. Weberville had a shot. The ball gets to Nate Lott at midcourt. The long 3 to tie. Close, but no. 68-65 the final, to the big relief of Jim McNally.
You got to hit those free throws down the line, or you can get yourself in trouble. And they got a good shot off there at the buzzer. They could have tied that up, taking us into overtime.
In Dansville, Dave Ellis, Nightcast Sports.
Thank you, David. Great game.
Portland St. Pat's was next on the docket. An 18-point victory would send the Shamrocks packing. The journey of this team had become more than a quest for redemption. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of unity. A district title and a ticket to regionals were in play, just as they were a year ago. Beating a team twice in a season is no easy task. Beating a team 3 times in a row in the same season is when determination takes hold. There would be no last-second shots to decide this game. Dansville executed a plan that resulted in a 22-point win over Lansing Christian. This time, 11 Aggies filled the net.
When I was a junior that year, I was telling that story. We played Grand Rapids Christian here in the district finals, and we got our butt kicked the first half, and your dad came in and did the halftime talk. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you mean Lansing Christian.
Lansing
Christian, yeah.
I just remember that because I was telling them, he said, if I set a whole 2x4 down here and asked you guys to walk across it, you all could, but if I took 10 feet in the air, you guys would all fall because you're playing scared. And I think you're like, it worked, because I remember that second half, we came out like gangbusters, and it went down to the wire. And that year, I remember seeing Lansing Christian. We were talking, it reminded me of like when Isaiah Thomas was playing Boston and he threw the inbound pass and got stolen. I remember seeing it on TV. They couldn't get it inbound on their basket. Grand Rapids stole it, made a layup as time expired. They won like 1. So if we could have gotten through Christian, or maybe, and that was like Lansing Christian that year. They had that Brad Rhoda and then Sean Cribbs, and then they had that Andy Plow, that big 6'7" kid.
Yeah.
They had like a really good team that year.
Did. That was a good team.
There was actually a fair amount of talent in Class D those couple of years.
Right.
Yep. And we beat them in the second game. We had a stacked districts. Weberville, Dansville. The Lansing Christian. That's the year before they had Cribbs and the other guy, the tall guy. He came back. But, yeah.
I saw it in here.
Yeah. But then Cribbs, man, that guy, it was my sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
He could jump out of the gym. Oh, wow. We're heading going back too. Hey, can shoot it.
And we beat Lansing Christian for the district championship, first district championship since 1979.
As they prepared for the regionals, the small farm town high school basketball team carried the hopes and dreams of their community on their shoulders, determined to leave an indelible mark on the court and etch their place in the storied history of their hometown. The venue was set. Hillsdale College was the destination, and Ottawa Lake the opponent. All season, the team had played in small gyms that bring the action to the fans as close as you can imagine. Packed gyms were the norm. One might think the larger venue would see empty seats, but this team knew how to fill them. Perhaps it was the opponent, or maybe the immense size of the gym, but the Aggies had a slow start, down 20-8 early in the game. The team then rebounded to a 22-point victory and scored a season-high 97 points. The deep bench that had been put to the test all season answered the call, and 10 Aggies added to the total.
Other than like the summer camps, like when we'd play on Michigan's floor or some of these other colleges, like that was the first time, that was like the biggest gym that we had ever played in.
Yeah.
And because that was down at Hillsdale College, right?
Right. Yep.
The first regional game in '94, we just got, like, we go out there, it's like our first regional game, we're all cocky with the district. We're getting our ass kicked. Yeah, like, and I started thinking, like, oh, shit, this is going to be it, you know? We're just going one game into the regional and we're done. I mean, they were just killing us. And by halftime, we're up by like 10 or something. I don't even know.
20 at that.
But it was like, we just killed them after that.
Yeah, then we ended up winning by, what, 40 or 30?
That was the Ottawa Lake game. It was 22-97. That's what you guys said.
97 points we scored that day.
I remember that because McNally would always, you guys were down, he would stare at us and yell at us. Which one of you is going in?
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's not going to be me. It's going to be him or him.
We scouted it. You, me, and Mick went down and scouted them, and we're like, you know, the teams that we play, like we've talked about, we're like, we're going to kick the shit out of this team. They got one decent kid.
Yeah.
And I remember we go down to Hillsdale, and we played, I almost want to say we were in awe of being at the regionals. I remember they're kicking our ass. They're probably up 10 early. He calls a timeout.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what is going on here? This team isn't very good. I'm thinking, we might be in trouble. First quarter ends, I remember looking up at the scoreboard, we're up 1.
Yeah.
I remember hitting Mick, and I'm like, we're fine. This will be a rout now. And we ended up beating it. We scored 97.
Well, I want to say we were down either. In my head, we were either like 18-4, they were up on us, or like 22 to.
There was
6 or
something bad. It was
like that. I think they had 22, and we were still in single digits. And all of a sudden, we went on. I mean, you watch the film. We go on a tear, and we're up 1 at the end of the first quarter. It's like, the game flip-flopped just like that. I did call that timeout. Just told them to settle down. You guys are fine.
Yeah.
You're just playing nervous.
Yeah.
Basically, and just come out and be yourself. And we came out, and I think Chad hit one, Brad hit one. We got a couple steals, went in. I mean, things just went bang, 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 and it was a different game. And then we never looked back.
They came out and gave their best shot.
Yeah, they did.
Nothing left.
No.
From there, we go to Hillsdale College into the regional. We played at Ottawa Lake Whiteford. We beat them 97-75. They were ranked 7th in the state. And once again, we still feel that we've got a great chance of going on to the state.
Considered a Cinderella team, Camden Frontier were next in line to take on the Aggies. The beginning minutes of the second half saw a tie game and possibly a trip home, but the Aggies found their game once again and took over the regional finals with a commanding 23-point victory.
And Camden was never really even in the game. I mean,
Well, and again, neither of those two teams were even in the ballpark of what you played during the season with Olivet and Weberville and some of those teams. I mean, I remember thinking these guys wouldn't even finish top 3 in the league.
Dennis puts it on the board. Neal going to fire a 3. A baller in the backcourt. Bounce pass ahead. Stolen away by Takacic. They're going to get an easy one at the buzzer. Unbelievable. Back on top to Takacic. Breaks free down the lane. Pull up 12-foot jump. Yep. Lob low post. Takacic fall away jump. He hits it back in now. He spins to the hoop. Puts it up and rolls it over the... When he makes it go, 25-14 down the lane. Baseball drops. They cut the lead to 8. All the way to the hoop. Baseball lays it home. Triple try Neal. Right wing. Incoming. Down the lane, Jones. Twists and turns. He's over on Lennon. He reverses. Turnaround jump was taken low to Minna. How many steps there? Good Lord. Did he travel? He got away with it. Laces Jones with a putback. Misses. Gets the second one. By Takacic. Terry, great pass in under layup. Good. Driving the lane all the way through Neal. Through the bucket. Missed it. Rebound. Neal again. Puts it up. Got it. Go down the lane he goes. Little jump pass. Great feed to Perry. It's on the board. It's down the key. He comes. Sailing in the left side. Takacic lays it in. Rebound Bobby Perry. Moves it up off the glass. He grabs the right sideline. Whistles it in low to Jones. Great catch. Tips it across the lane. A minute. Out front to Jones. Give and go down the lane. Takacic ducks under a player. Cross court pass. All open. Kulik lays it in. I don't know whether it was bleeding somewhere or what they were doing. Kulik with the lead at 38. Jones made both those free throws. In the lane. Ron Schmidt. 4 guys who are subs. 67-44. 25 seconds to go. Baseline. Bounce pass. Cross key. Jumper up. And in. Number 5. And the final score is Dansville 69. Camden Frontier 46. Are you age 55 or older? If so, you may be.
Come back and beat Camden Frontier for the regional championship, 69-46. And that was the first regional championship Dansville's had since 1957. Well, with that perspective, 1957 was the year I was born. That's the last time regional championship.
Loud, electric, deafening. Despite being a smaller gym than Hillsdale, Marshall High School packed them in for a matchup between number 5 ranked Dansville and number 1 ranked defending Class D state champions of Covenant Christian from Grand Rapids.
You sent me to Grand Rapids to go scout Covenant. And I just remember you telling me how they were going to be so good and, this and that. I remember scouting them thinking, we're as good, if not better, than this team.
Yeah.
And I remember getting home that night, as before cell phones, and I called you, and I'm like, hey, we can beat Covenant. Yeah. And, that was the first time we're like, hey, we can win a state championship. So, I think it was us, Weberville, and Covenant were top 3 in the state that year, rankings-wise.
So then we move on, and we go to the quarterfinals. And
when we got on the bus, you just kind of look around as coaches to see where the kids are at, where their heads are at, what's going on. So, and it was pretty quiet. There was they were talking, but it was all focus. And as people have told you before, this group of kids thought they could beat anybody. So once we get to the school and we go into the locker room, Jim and I and Lee came outside and stood outside the locker room. And Jim said, well, what do you think? And I said, I've never seen them so focused, and they're always focused. And so he agreed, and Lee agreed. We said, these kids are going to go out there, and they're going to represent.
Everybody was there. Everybody was there.
First for Dansville, and a forward, number 15, Chad Neal. And the other forward for Dansville, number 42, Adam Jones. At center for the Aggies, number 31, Jeff Minnis. For Dansville, number 12, Greg Reed. And the other guard for the Aggies, number 20, Greg.
This game was not for the faint of heart. Warriors on both sides of the ball fought with intensity and determination to put their team on top.
I mean, I know, again, we've talked about this, about Grand Rapids, and I don't want to talk too much about Grand Rapids. I still don't like them, but they had a heck of a ball club. I mean, they had, I think, 4 or 5 kids that went on and played college basketball, and I know their point guard, Joel Hostage.
He played professionally, I want to say.
Well, he went on to...
He was like All-American.
He went on to Hope and led Hope to a national championship in Division III.
Yeah.
That's pretty special in yourself. So we were playing one heck of a talented basketball team,
Yeah.
and beating them,
Yeah.
and they were number 1, right?
Yeah.
And undefeated. So
like Grand Rapids Covenant Christian, was they 3 times, ended up being 3-time state champion, and they ended up beating, Fowler in the finals by 35, and we beat Fowler.
Don't tell you. For all intents and purposes, that quarterfinal game was state championship. We were number 1. They were number 1. We were number 2, and then they blew out the next 2 teams by 20 or 30.
Going to the wrestling, wearing the Dansville shirt, and having a bunch of their fans come up saying that was the championship game.
Yeah.
Obviously, that quarterfinal game was super fun. I mean, obviously the way it ended wasn't good, but.
And then, the rest is history. We gave it a heck of a run, and a possession, 2 possessions, we could be state champions. Yeah.
I remember some of the game, but a lot of the game was a blur. And for me, it was a little different too because I had a son on the team, so it was extra emotional.
Coach Wilhelm put it best the other night, Wednesday night, when he talked about how we'll have that always to reflect on and everything. And to let you know what a great basketball game it really was. If you're in my shoes, anyhow, you're always looking at stats and numbers and comparing them to what other teams are doing that. This may not mean that much to you, but after I figured it all out at the end of the night, Grand Rapids Covenant Christian took 51 shots for the whole evening, and they hit 32 of those. That's an awesome percentage from shoot from the court. But to show you what a great basketball game was, we took 3 more shots. We took 54, and we hit 31 of those. So that's just a great basketball game. We ended up on the bottom at 76-73. I wish I could tell you, people, you'll never understand how difficult it was for me to watch that buzzer end and watch those kids right there, and to walk back into that locker room knowing it was their last ball game. You don't know how difficult it is to all of a sudden pull yourself together and realize that you've got to go in and console 12 kids that have broken hearts. To try to mend those, and to also yet at the same time make them look at you and understand what they've accomplished all the way up through, and how proud everybody was of them, how proud I was of them. I wasn't prepared to do that in my coach paper. Also, I was not prepared to make a speech tonight or anything. I never did prepare myself all year for that because we still felt that we weren't finished yet. But they sure did accomplish everything that I'd asked. We're in the locker room, and my senior captain, Adam Jones, comes up to me, and we talked about it probably many times throughout his career that he played for us. Anytime we did get beat in a ball game or any kind of a big situation we got beat, I always had to remind him that the sun would come up the next day. And he came up and he was crying, and he says, will the sun come up tomorrow morning? And I said, of course it will. And what a great season he's had, what a great career, and what a great memories you always have.
A few back and forth battles on the scoreboard in the first 3 quarters would bring the score 73-72 with 1:22 left on the clock. The Aggies would tie it with a second free throw. With the game knotted at 73, the opportunity was there, but a few bad bounces sent us home with a 3-point loss.
Well, in Marshall tonight, they would have played Dansville, but Dansville lost. So 3 of the 4 area clubs go down. There's Grand Rapids Covenant Christian. I knew there was a Covenant in there someplace. 76-73, and Dansville's season comes to an end. Take a look. This was an exciting finish and a tough one for Dansville. They're 3 points down after Adam Jones, who had 22, 19 rebounds, and 4 blocks at that one. Then Brad Tochik scores here to tie the game at 73. He had 27 tonight. Now here's the tough play in the game. Dansville has a good shot here, but will turn the ball over, and Grand Rapids Covenant Christian gets the steal and goes in and scores. Scott Kuhl makes it 75-73, and they added a free throw, and Dansville ends its season at 23-3. So it's Grand Rapids Covenant Christian undefeated versus Fowler on Friday morning. Afterwards, comments from Dansville coach Jim McNally.
Credit to them. They hit some real big shots down the end. A couple kids hit a couple 3-pointers there, and it got them back on top. And then we missed a couple opportunities to stay right there. I think we tied it up, and then I think we had a turnover, and they got a chance to get a bucket in, and we just never got over that hump.
The small farm high school found itself in the limelight as the team soared to an impressive 23-3 record, capturing the hearts of the community along the way. The crowds got their money's worth with every game and witnessed the team, who finished ranked 5th in Class D, scoring an average of 73 points and holding opponents to an average of 54, outscoring opponents by 486 points with an average margin of victory at 18.7.
Of course, we had the community on fire. I mean, I bet there wasn't a light on in town when the bus pulled out of town.
Yeah. The town would kind of shut down and everybody would go to the football game. Well, it seemed the same way for our basketball games. Like, I couldn't believe how many people would show up to watch those games, and people still will. Heck, somebody was talking to me about it 2 months ago. It's just how entertaining it was to watch us all play. And like you didn't want to let like everybody down either. You know, it seemed like we were playing for ourselves, but you're playing for all those people in the stands cheering you on, knowing that little Dansville could go somewhere.
And that many years left town, you got to read
the Shucks sign.
Yeah, that was always.
Yeah, I just thought that was just a cool deal. Like, I mean, that's the community being behind you, somebody that's really into the school. That was unbelievable because I was on my way to school, so I got to read them in the morning, and I always look forward to those. And it's just, game day, that was one of the things I looked for. So I never see anything like that. Never seen anything like that. Just a cool idea.
And then I remember after the loss too, making those signs along the roads. Remember that?
I remember that.
It was like, anyway, like I'm getting choked up and watching, like reading this as I'm driving, you know.
The signs out coming into town, and they change it all the time. That was awesome, man. And, you know, I remember the bus rides home, and the bus driver was just doing laps around town, and just keep driving, and we were yelling out the window, and people were waving, and we just kept driving around town, and, you know, it was just amazing, you know.
And I was the freshman coach that year and helping Jim a little bit with the varsity. And I'll never forget, we come out of the locker room, both those games, to do our warm-ups in the freshman game.
Yeah.
And this place is full.
Yeah.
I mean, it's standing room only for the freshman game.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in this for 31 years. I've never been in a gym of any kind in a freshman game where the place was completely packed.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable. The kids loved it at the freshman level, the JV levels, but it just told you how big of a game it was when that many people are already there at 4 o'clock.
The kids would come out, we'd go through our layups, and everybody would start peeling their warm-up jackets off and throwing them on the bleachers behind us. Well, some of them probably wanted to put them back on to stay warm or whatever, you know. They couldn't, because we'd have 15, 20 kids behind the bleachers every game putting their warm-up jerseys, their warm-up tops on.
Yeah.
And these little kids, these guys' age, were lined up every game behind us. It was it was always something pretty cool.
Funny just to be that age, 10 years younger than these guys, and so going forward, so aspirational to someday get your friends and your guys that you play with back to that kind of level. Being selfish is part of watching Adam play and wanting to play that way, to be able to do a little bit of everything on the floor, and just one of us to try and chase that sort of thing, and what those guys would accomplish, and dreaming of that being there someday. Me and brother, our friends, to be sitting there and having all those warm-ups on.
We beat somebody, and it was a close game. And he said, like, all the students, all the students were rushing the floor. And he had to pull, like, some little kids out of the way because he thought they were going to get trampled over. But he was right in the middle of it, and everybody just rushing down there.
We do some parades through, like, the school. Like, I remember doing the parades through, like, the elementary school.
That's right. Yeah.
They were like little celebrities to all those young kids. They wanting autographs and stuff.
They did. They'd put you guys and put you in your warm-ups and stuff or whatever, and we'd parade down through the elementary. Yeah. Kids were all out in the hallways lined up. Band was playing.
Yeah.
Just, it was a big...
Yeah.
Like you said, games were sold out days before the game even started, and it was a ticket was a big deal to a lot of people. Yeah. So
those games like Weberville and the Olivets, when they literally had how fast did the tickets sell out? And then they had to put people in another room to watch videos of the game because they were so packed.
Yeah.
It was just a cool deal with the community too. Just all the people that would show up. Obviously, when you win, that sort of stuff happens and having a.
Yeah, it was people. I remember just hearing about like some games, like my mom and dad, like, I remember seeing some Porsches pulling into town. Like they graduated from Dansville a long time ago, and I don't know, probably they were like, they're trying to buy tickets, coming in and asking if anyone would sell them their tickets, paying big money. Like it was crazy. It was sweet.
That year was different though. Like when you think about when you were a sophomore and I was a freshman. There was a different feeling in the community, in the town, in the school about the team, and then we never had it again after that. There was something really special about that year. I remember, first of all, like you were saying before, right? Like we'd walk out of school at 3 o'clock, there's a line up the door trying to get tickets to the Friday game or Tuesday, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
And I remember just walking outside and there would be a line from the door all the way out into the parking lot, with the crowds that came in, that whole season, it really had kind of like that college feeling, an atmosphere. I remember just thinking, this is just crazy. People coming from, all different communities to watch this team. It just seemed, like a bigger feeling than just a normal little high school basketball team. Just the amount of people had the interest in our team. It was really amazing.
Paul and Donna, they were people that were out of Lansing that followed our team, but they followed, we called them our super
They
fans.
might have started, but I think they did come. I remember that. There was like this couple. I remember that they just loved watching us play.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple years before you finally said, "Who are those people?"
Yeah.
And then we kind of made a connection as to who they were. And I don't think it was for a few years that we even knew who they were, but I think they were coming before we knew who they were. So they might have been.
They even had kids in this?
No. They had nothing to do with anything or anything like that. And
No, I remember that. I think they used to sit over on that side.
Yep. That we called them our super fans, and they were they ended up wanting our buses to come out to their house. They used to host dinners. I'd not feed the whole team. We'd get off the bus and go to their place, and they'd feed the whole team. I was like, but we had them come to our banquets and all that. Yeah, they were very loyal. They loved Dansville basketball. Yeah.
How powerful is that? I mean, that just shows what that team was, and what it meant, not just to us, but it meant a lot to a lot of other people, a lot of other communities. I feel like we brought town together and whole other communities together in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
Mr. Bontrager, Randy Bontrager's dad, he's the last one to talk about it, and he just. Do you remember when you played Weberville, or when you played so and so, and you did this or did that, or the team did? Yeah, I remembered some of it, but I can't remember his name. But there was a guy for years after we graduated. I'd see him a lot, and he'd always ask about it. I don't think he even was from Dansville. I think he was from like Mason, and just came to our games because he enjoyed watching them. And I thought that was cool too. The people not even affiliated with Dansville or grew up in Dansville just wanted to watch us play. I couldn't believe when we played at Marshall that the stands were full at Marshall. I was like, I can't believe there's that many people that want to come watch us play basketball.
Because it was just a blast. The hype in the town and all that was just the crowds, man. The bus rides. The bus rides were classic, man. Like, that summer stuff that you were talking about, right? And that was just, all that stuff was so much fun. We knew in our minds, like, we can play with anybody.
Yeah. Well, the bus rides were the verge of being almost like...
You guys got to experience the journey on the bus. Yeah. We got to experience it riding behind you.
Oh.
The scene from... Okay. It's funny because even I think the Free Press referred to you guys at Hickory. And, so that one scene where you got this race, it's exciting.
It is a caravan. It's exciting.
Yeah, we had everybody going behind you guys.
You got those road signs of people wishing you luck.
We had the managers eventually. Sometimes we let Tab come back with us, and we had Dave, and we'd get him to say crazy stuff to McNally and Mr. Reeve, and
that stuff on the bus, you just died laughing because you were waiting for after the game. You won, right? All the way home.
Most were wins.
Yeah.
So
we both were here. You stop at McDonald's, you get your food, then and you're back on the bus, and you're just laughing because you don't know what someone's going to say next.
Yeah.
It's usually you. It's like Ryan started it off.
I don't know. Lance kind of started it.
Yeah, I learned from the best.
Yeah.
Lance was pretty darn good at it. And then, me and Galloway kind of finished it our senior year in the back with with Hiroshi and Dave.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah.
Well, again, we were talking earlier about that quarterfinal game too. So that gets down the line. You've got a shot across at the team. There's a shot of the kids sitting there on the bench, and there's Reed. Reed was this tall then, and we were talking about he was only 7 years old, and he's already rubbing he's already crying. It's the end of the game. There's like 39 seconds to go in the game, and things were looking not real good for us. And we look over there, and there's Reed already rubbing his eyes. You can tell he's crying, all the way across the gym. But the story that Linda has of what she remembers about that game so much was when that game ended and that buzzer went off, right through everything, he ran from that bleacher all the way over, and she was up in the stands, halfway up the stands. He ran all the way, came over, and he was just bawling his eyes out. It upset him so much, and I'm thinking, back then, 7 years old and stuff, and so it was, it meant a lot to a lot of people for, whatever.
I wish I could have gone back and just really tried to soak it all in a little bit more. And probably a lot of guys feel that way. When you're young, maybe you just don't think that way. I don't know, but I wish I could have soaked it in just a little bit more. I wish it would have lasted just a little bit longer. You never know what an impact a team like that's going to have, unfortunately, sometimes until years down the road, you know what I mean? Just the thing, it's been 30 years, we're talking about it now still. That proves right there that what a special group of guys that was.
I just still think just how grateful I am just to have that experience, to grow up like that. And just, we were kind of like the Hoosiers a little bit, like just that small little school in the middle of nowhere. Everyone always kind of looked down on Dansville, I feel, and then we had something to be proud of for Lakeville.
I made you guys come up every Saturday to do DCA camps and summer camps and do all this stuff. And, you guys, everybody was part of it somehow.
Yeah.
It's a good way to build programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, just coming up there with the little kids and then, helping them, breaking them up.
Yeah,
spots,
you guys all had stations.
Doing drills with them and stuff.
Yeah. Just the last 3 weeks we did that in DeWitt. Saturday mornings, bringing them in the high school team.
Yeah.
Kindergartners through third graders. And split them up doing their stations. And 10 stations or whatever.
Yeah.
So you a little deja vu. So,
here
we are.
Yeah.
A lot of things I learned from, Coach McNally being on that team. Those things are all going to trickle down to my kids, all the other guys' kids, that kind of stuff just kind of sticks to you. And you're going to teach your kids in some way, shape, or form things that you learned, that we all learned from that season, that particular season, you know what I mean? So that's another way that team that year is so powerful, because all of our kids they're all going to learn something from that team. I really feel that way. That team was, it's so much bigger than just a basketball team, if you really think about it. That team is really never going to die.
I think that picture of us on the bleachers, that's like a good, like us as a team, because we were all just farting around, just
done that relaxed team photo that kind of was going viral.
But that was
the thing then.
We
all know what photo it was, and you guys kind of did.
Yeah, I think that just is a good reflection of the team, just how we got, we're just, kind of goofy kids, but still take ball serious.
Well, we had matching. We did for a lot of years, but we had matching outfits, which was the first time I think I did that. We got hats, so all of our game trips and stuff was you guys wearing hats.
Yeah,
well, that was unheard of. You never wore a hat and we did that. So we did try to break the mold a little bit with a lot of things there, but I told them we came out to the Bulls. We had the warm-up song that the Bulls did. We adopted that as our coming out of the locker room. But after that, I don't remember the music we agreed on after that.
I feel like the band was here most of the time.
I think we tried to talk you into doing the Imperial March from Star Wars. You wouldn't do it, because we were well, we'll come out in white, and then Adam will be in black, so we'll be the stormtroopers, and Adam will be Darth Vader. Black.
I'm sure I got a lot of suggestions that I had to go.
Well, I remember one special night I thought was real cool. Kevin Reed played the Star Spangled Banner with electric, Jimi Hendrix with electric guitar, And that was the night when Adam and Chad had gotten the honorable mentions McDonald's All-Americans. And I just remember like thinking like, man.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Like just. Yeah.
A picture of Adam coming out with.
Yeah. I think that was when we wanted to try to get the star. Like, we got to do them. Come on, Coach, come on.
So after we won the regionals, the city or whoever went out and put green reflective signs on all four intersections coming into town of us winning of 1994 regional champions. They all went out and stole them.
I don't ever remember.
Oh yeah, I got one.
Are you doing? So,
Well,
like,
they knew
I may have done some questionable
They
things
knew
in
I'd
the
be
past.
pissed, so they all autographed it. They all put it in black ink and all autographed. I still have it. In fact, I've got it hanging in my garage down in Texas to this day. 1994 regional champs. Yeah.
Nice.
Those guys didn't mention anything about that.
Well, unfortunately, I should bring it back and have them all do it again because the autographs obviously have all faded. They're hard to read now, but I've been hanging up in my garage forever.
I experienced that with you guys. We did the 10-year reunion.
Yeah.
In my senior year, it'd been 10 years, and all of a sudden, we set up a reunion scrimmage with you guys.
You guys had a good team too that year.
We had we figured we had the athletic advantage and all that. You guys being out of it for a while, but the combination of having everyone could dribble, pass, and shoot, and the smarts of that team just in general. Old man basketball smarts cooked it.
Yeah, I tell you what, like that game was fun, but we all got together on like say the Sunday before that. We came up here. Someone opened the gym and we scrimmaged just us old guys, and that was like I wish we would have had tape of that because like Adam could still dunk. Like Adam dunked in the game, and like Basor could dunk. That like it was like we were starting to show our age, but we were still like that's like the last hurrah.
We came back to play them, and we beat the crap out.
Oh yeah.
We
sure
did.
30 to 40.
I mean, Jones was still in good shape.
Yeah.
You did dunk it.
I dunked it one.
Yeah. I remember that.
I remember I passed the ball to Jones and he dunked it.
We just wore them out though, like they just don't stop us.
Oh, they were such
little man strength at that point.
Yeah. Well, in high school I was 160. Probably at that time I was 185, but really good shape.
Yeah.
Different.
I was 170. I think I was 240 that game. Not in great shape, but still.
I think Tad wore my number 5 jersey when he came out.
Oh yeah,
was it Tad?
They tried to make us wear it.
Yeah. Tab was I tried it on. I couldn't get the jersey on.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was a fun one. I would not want to see us go back to play now. Just
I actually did.
I know you told me that
months ago.
Yeah.
But no, that was just cool to do that too because you and Reed and then like Sammy were our managers, and so it was cool. Yep. It was kind of like coming full circle then, and the fact that it was 10 years too, like with that, what better way that was, because that was your senior year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's a special memory being able to come up here and play. And there was a fair amount of people here for that too.
Well, great crowd for that. And we'd gotten the old uniforms out and let you guys wear the old uniform. That was
you gave them to us.
That was a little disgusting. Yeah, I know. But seeing you guys in those
a little bit higher than what they used to be. It's like I don't remember these riding up so high.
And heck, I played basketball probably for another 15, 20 years after I was done. I just enjoyed playing basketball.
I remember the barn.
Yeah. Then
because you're a bunch of farm people. A bunch of
it looked
kids
like it.
In the district. It was a full of kids.
They playing it on like Channel 6 or something, out in the barn.
Yeah, they did. They adopted it. We did. We had that. Kids ended up getting T-shirts and stuff. It was they call of course you had the zone, and then they started calling it the Nell zone and stuff like that. And but there was always quite a following from that on through the years. And
then I'm pretty sure it was Adam Holliday that painted a sign that said like Bertha's Corner, and it hung up in the corner of the gym.
I remember when people would come in and wonder why everybody's booing Menace every time they score.
That was great.
I honestly have no clue why they moved me.
Vince loved it too.
Oh, yeah.
Just move.
Why did they move him? Why did they move him?
No, they're moving him. He's a dairy farmer.
Yeah. I remember that all the time.
Cows.
Well, some of the.
I think our family who would come to the games would ask that question all the time. Why did they move him? Why did they move him?
My grandparents would go watch, and they didn't know about the moo thing. And my grandma turns to my mother and asks why everybody's booing Jeff. And Mom had to explain to my grandma that they're mooing him. But I honestly don't know how it started, or who started it, but it started.
Well, Ryan said something about wanting to bring Tab's nickname up and everything. Were they?
I believe that was Tabitha.
Yeah, it's not a good story, but it stuck.
Yeah. I remember that. Oh, Tabitha! Throwing our sweaty jerseys out. Like, hey, Tabitha, go take care of that.
Horn. And then Hose, he came up with that one. His Hose is like something about fire. He's like, well, they call me the Hose because I'm putting everybody up. We're like, all right, you're Hose.
But the story behind those baggy uniforms, that's where Basor started so my nickname became Hose, and it remained Hose until the day I retired. For kids that I didn't even know walking on the highway, hey, Hose. Never Mr. McNally. My own kids called me Hose their whole life. They don't even know what my name is. And that started that next year when I ordered those uniforms. And the new rule in high school basketball, I had to go to the rules meeting. The new rule was you could not let that material, that uniform, those jerseys come untucked out of your shorts. And if they did, they were going to remove you from the game. And if you didn't handle it up, it was a technical foul. So, you know how many times So I have the kids out for an evening meal before the season starts. The new uniforms had come in, and I'm passing them out to all the kids in the living room in our house there. And they're all excited about it. I mean, they're the new, the whole thing, and they're all excited. And I start telling them the rule about having to leave their jerseys untucked. And you had to leave them tucked in with your drawstrings pulled tight and everything. And I said, and if you don't, I said, I'm pulling you out of the game because it's a technical foul. We're not going to let anybody in here play that, Basor's arm goes up, of course. Coach, what if I'm on fire? He says, what if I'm on fire? Are you going to pull me out because my jersey's untucked? And my response immediately was, call me the Hose. I'm putting your fire out and sitting you on the bench. It's that easy. That's how simple that nickname came around, and it's stuck forever.
Yeah.
So everybody did start calling me Hose. Next thing I know, we got the Christmas party. I got a hat with Hose on it. I got it never ended from there.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So, but
I didn't know why he was called Hose.
I got a good kick out of the comments going back and forth when Ryan said, please don't include the block down there. And of course, you still remember it this day. And then I saw the newspaper clipping of it.
That's a great shot.
I think I might even have that still myself in my, and I said, no way, you definitely got to include that.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have my name spelled wrong than have my shotgun blocked like Basor, so I'll take that.
That was the night the Free Press was there and did that huge write-up and put Gray Room.
That's what I mentioned that in there, too. Yeah. That's where it all started.
Yeah,
Gray Room.
yeah.
Totally spelled his name wrong. Yeah. That was when they mentioned we were the best public school league. That's public school in the state.
Obviously, we went on the court and played, but something that really needs to be said about the kind of coach that Mr. McNally was. He knew how to take the team we had and use our strengths. He came up with our offense, our defense, and it just worked perfectly for us. And doing something like that's not really easy to do. To really find the chemistry of your team, get everything meshed together and everyone work together. McNally was a master of that. As good a coach as he was on the court, I think he was maybe an even better coach and teacher off the court because he wanted us to spend time together. He took us up north, camps. He would bring us into his own home all the time. I think just that really brought us together as a team. We loved playing for the guy. We wanted to win, not just for us, but we wanted to win for him. He wanted us to fight, just be aggressive and learn the game. And that was all, I think, part of his plan, and it just worked great. We trusted each other. We trusted him. He brought us into his house for dinner and stuff all the time. you know, he had his kids around us all the time. You know, Tab and Rita were around us all the time. You know, this guy, he was a real dude, an average guy, and I mean that in the best way possible. You know, he knew how to handle teenagers and be cool with them, but also coach them at the same time. That really, I think that stuck with a lot of us. You know, he knew how to have fun with us. We had a ton of fun. You know, we had intense times, but we had some great times just joking around with this guy. And I think that just the, you know, something simple like that brought a lot of trust for, you know, we felt like this guy was our friend. And I don't know if you get that a lot with coaches these days. They're just coach, you know. You gotta act a certain way when coaches are around, this and that. Well, we felt comfortable around this guy. You know, I know that's how I felt. I know a lot of other guys felt that way. We felt comfortable around him. We could joke around with him. We kind of let him into our own little clique, you know what I mean? He was our coach first, but he was also our friend. He was also our very good friend.
McNally he'd open that gym all the time. Like, it's now that I'm older with kids and all that, it's like, how the hell did he do this all the time? Like, Linda must have been pissed watching those kids all the time because he was always open.
He brought
his kids. He brought his
He did
kids.
bring a kid sometimes.
His kids,
yeah.
Well, he brought it because he knew something special was happening.
Yeah.
And he opened his home. You know, I think that's another fun part of it. He opened his house for those meals that we would have.
Meals and partying after games.
Yeah.
Did he practice with you guys too?
Jim?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But he did.
Yeah. Jim did. Yeah, we always busted.
I didn't realize how he was so athletic too. Yeah.
Well, I was always busting on McNally on his shot. He had a good shot. He's a good point guard, but he would never extend his arm all the way. He'd go like this.
Yeah.
And I would just always like, oh, yeah, you're
I remember that.
Stay, you don't extend your elbow.
He would get out there, he'd play. He wasn't afraid to throw elbows and get in there. And he would get, 3-on-3-on-3 was a drill we played all the time. And that got intense. You know, he'd get in on one of the teams and, man, I'm telling you, man, we'd get physical. And he was all for it. He'd get right in there. And all the guys respected that. He wasn't just standing on the sideline with a whistle in his mouth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was in there battling right with us. He was ready to go in there and fight with us and practice. And when it came game time, obviously he wasn't on the floor, but he was fighting for us on the sideline, tooth and nail. We always knew that he had our back on the sideline. So I think I speak for everyone on that team when I say that Jim McNally was a hell of a coach. But I remember the very first game of that season, Adam was getting ready to, he was getting announced, and he was starting, we were getting ready to play. And I remember looking at Adam, him looking at me, and I was like, here we go. And he looked at me and he said, here we go, this is the beginning of the end. And that really kind of stuck in my mind. And yeah, that was his senior. It was the start of the season, his first game, and this is the beginning of the end. So that that really kind of stuck in my mind, and everyone else's mind. That this is it. With us, no matter how far we go, it's gonna end. That was a real meaningful moment. I'll never forget him looking at me and saying that.
But it was kind of like one of those things where you just wanted that to last forever. Had we actually gone and won the state championship, I think there was still going to be a sadness at some point because I'm not going to play with Adam anymore. I'm not going to play with Dan. I mean, we just always had confidence we could be anybody because we had Adam Jones. Yes. Yep. It was like no matter, it could be the Bulls out there. But because we had Adam, it was like, we'll get him. Adam, go get that guy.
So you're right on.
You guys know Mitch McCabe, right?
Yeah.
Street Press. One of his quotes in there when he was picking who was going to win that game.
I remember that. Yeah.
He basically said, Company Christian has the experience. Dansville has Adam Jones.
Yes. Well, you had a superstar. You had one person that was we all kind of rallied around against with, and then as you're going through that, you're just
grew up with it.
Town grew up with it. We grew up with it. You knew something special when I was in middle school. He's in 8th grade. You're in 7th grade. You're just part of it. You're just on the journey. You're on the ride. like I knew like I'm not gonna play much, but I knew that I wanted to be part of it because you can be part of something great. That's gonna help you kind of later on in life, and I just want to be a part of it. And then from there, you just got a bunch of friendships. You got a bunch of guys that like each other. You got a bunch of guys that want to be hanging out with each other, and I think that's where basketball comes, right? And you have a team that can go that level. Guys like to hang out with each other, and they want to play ball, and good things happen with it. I think that's kind of why that group went so far, that team went so far, because you guys wanted to play. And,
Everybody liked each other.
For the most part, right? I think everybody, everybody wanted to score. If someone was open, they scored.
Going back to Adam, like as a freshman coming onto that team, like we looked up to Adam, like he was like a celebrity,
Yeah.
And here now we get to play with him. You know what I mean? I remember thinking to myself, like we really playing varsity? I don't know. We're just gonna our ass kicked or what?
You just elevated your level, right? You played up at a higher level.
Did that in college?
You played at a higher level.
Like Minnis was the perfect thing to play with Adam because Adam was so unselfish. If you get Minnis the ball on the left block, he's pivoting and going off, and he can jump like 5 inches higher with that thing on that side when he does that. And you see it in the games; he scores every time. That was his play. Just get the ball on the block. I mean, it's over and over.
Right.
And that was perfect. Adam probably got. That was probably half of Minnis' points that year. And then half a ton of assists. Adam got that way.
A lot of times with Adams, one of our things we came up with him was having him bring the ball up the floor. Because he handled the ball really well, and with his size, he was really hard to defend. And then once he got down the court, then he would give it up, and then he would go down and post up, or he'd go down and post, and we'd screen for him. He'd come off the screen and then get a shot or take it to the hoop and score. But we used him a lot, bringing the ball up the court. And I'm sure people wonder, bringing the ball down the court, he should be posting up. But after he gave it up, he always was posting up or moving without the basketball. So that was something Jim came up with, not only to help the team, but to help Adam later on in his career, being a good ball handler.
Also having a player like Adam, I mean, that was pretty special having a kid like that. I think that brought on a lot of the unselfishness. I'm thinking a kid who could score 40 points a game, and he was more willing to pass than shoot. That you could just see it in those games. I just forgot how unselfish we were. Adam could make the fancy pass, but this is what I learned to do with Adam is if he had the ball and he was driving, I was going to cut or try to, because he's going to find you. Yeah. So if you could learn to move a little bit, he made the game much easier for us, that was for sure.
So towards the end of that year, I get a phone call from the State Journal, and I'm talking to whoever was. Anyhow, he was doing kids that were doing all state honors and stuff like that, and of course Adam was all area, and we had a group of kids that were, but he was asking me about Adam, and he was getting a profile on him basically, and he said, so who would you compare Adam Jones to as far as what professional player would you compare him to? And I had to, it didn't take me long to think about it because I'd probably thought about it more than once, but he honestly, I told him, I said, I don't know how else to tell you this, but I compare him to Magic Johnson, because Magic was, And I said, and he goes, come on, that's pretty hefty. And I said, here's the reason why. And just like you said, he was so unselfish. I got mad. If I got mad at him, it was because he wouldn't score. It was he would give the ball up when we needed 30 points from him or something like that. And he was just so unselfish with it all the time that it upset me more about him than anything. I'm like. And I said, he's such a good passer. He's a great floor general. He's our center, but yet he's our point guard. Most of the time handling it and getting things started. Basically our offense was he'd come down, give it away, and get it back and make things happen. And everybody was in.
That was the most unselfish team that I ever coached. That bunch of kids, when I had a chance or observe them, they were so unselfish. And the number one person who was the most unselfish was Adam Jones. He set the tempo for that group. They learned from Adam. You don't have to be the star all the time. You just got to be part of what's going on so we can win. and that was pretty cool.
It's funny, like, I hung out with him so much after high school, hardly ever in high school, and we never talked about this. Like, it was always about other stuff, like Star Wars or band or something. It was never about that
thing. Adam, I was telling somebody about Adam a couple days ago, just explaining it, like, the guy was getting recruited his junior year by Michigan State for quarterback, and Big Ten, and this, you know, like, just basketball-wise, you know, he could just show up and play, and he never, you know, when he was younger, he practiced a lot, but, like, he didn't at all when he was. It was just natural, everything. Like, just pick up the violin and went and played at the Walker Center, you know, like, pretty wild stuff.
Do you remember him coming back because he was at Michigan playing? He came back to practice against us.
Yeah.
Holy crap! That was the best basketball shit he ever was.
Yeah.
Because he was unstoppable. You couldn't do nothing.
No.
He's drilling threes behind, like 2 feet behind the line, like without never missing. I mean, his whole, he was in phenomenal basketball shape. I remember thinking, oh man, I've gotten a little bit better. I'm going to go against Adam. And he just destroyed us. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was like, you know, it was like an adult playing against a fourth grade. A bunch of fourth. That's how it was.
Yeah, we couldn't do anything.
It was only 1 year later.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like we could ever do anything with him either. But
top-notch guys.
No
practice.
Yeah.
That was it. That was his job.
I remember playing one-on-one against him. We had to remember he had practice.
Yeah.
You had to play one-on-one. You would rotate around.
Yeah.
I had to play one-on-one with him. I'm thinking, how the hell do I beat him? No, I'm quicker and faster than him. So I'm going to try to, like, use speed.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work because I would go up for a layup. He would come behind me, boom, boom.
And Adam was fast, too.
Man.
I mean, he was slow. That was funny, you know.
I'd gotten word down the line from, I can't remember who made the phone call to me, said that Tom Izzo and his staff was coming out to the game at Weberville, which, you know, didn't have a very big bleacher place, but the place was packed, standing room only packed. And we're in a heck of a game over there, and Adam's just kind of playing just, you know, mediocre for Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were up on us by 8 or 9 at one time. And I'll never forget, you know, I call a timeout, and they come into the huddle. It's like the end of the third quarter, first of the fourth quarter. And I grab Adam right by the jersey and pull him in. And I just rip his butt, and I tell him, Tom Izzo's over here watching you for, you know, recruiting you. And you need to start. You know, I probably used a lot of other words, but you need to start playing like this. You know, this is something more important to you, or whatever the case was. Anyhow, we came out of that timeout, and he went out, and he went on a tear. We ended up coming back and beating their butt, but I shouldn't say beat their butt, but we got the win, and he played like he was supposed to. But the team just all of a sudden when Adam went like that, we were really good.
Yeah. I got to ask you guys this question. Danny, I don't even know if you knew this happened, but that 94 year, one of my favorite memories is I was sitting right here watching you guys practice. There's 4 or 5 college coaches in the place watching Adam, and one of them's John Beeline, who was at Canisius at the time.
Yeah, I remember Canisius.
And I sat next to him, and I'm talking with him, and we're having this great conversation about college basketball, and next thing you know, I don't know if it was you or Reed. One of you split your head open in that bathroom, and you guys come running in. There's blood everywhere. And Mick and Jim and we run Reed into the bathroom in the locker room, and Beeline and I are holding Reed's head in the sink while you guys are getting all the blood off. Like, do you remember that happening in practice at all?
I don't really. Like, maybe I do a little bit, but
It was Lucas Thorber and him got in a tug of war with a towel or a jersey or something right out here by this fountain.
Right in the bathroom.
Yeah. Reed slips, you know, goes back, cracks his head. Yeah, so I've got Ball State, I got Canisius, I got Eastern Michigan, I got it seemed like there was 4 coaches here, which I can't recall.
Yeah.
Watching Adam, watching you guys practice, but they were down here to recruit him, and but John Beeline wasn't the big name then. He was Canisius, but he stood there with. Remember, we got the
we were right in the back.
Reed out. They stood over here by the thing, but as practice went on, there's Beeline with a wet towel on Reed's head, keeping it from bleeding.
Yeah.
The rest of the practice.
Yeah.
So we got that too.
I tell you, like how Adam plays and like beat like that would have been that probably been a good place for him to go.
Well, I took him over there. We drove over. We went across to Buffalo there where Canisius is at, him and I, and spent a weekend with them. They put us up, and we went to their game and got in the locker room with them and the whole thing. It was a nice experience, and they wanted him bad. They wanted him real bad. So they saw a lot of him. Ball State wanted him bad. He was obviously you know, so.
Aggies fans, please welcome one of the best men's basketball players in Dansville School's history. He was featured in our grand opening video. Right next to me here, Mr. Adam Jones.
You know, when Adam passed and they did his memorial here and stuff, I remember walking in here and sitting. It was a pretty darn good crowd for people to come back and honor Adam and stuff. And sitting up there, and I'm looking around the gym, and it's just all the memories are pouring in of our games and the crowds and everything, and they're up speaking. And I knew there was enough people here that had watched him play, and I was just sort of, you know, chewing at the bit. I wanted to walk up and get the microphone and start, "Let's go Aggies," you know, like John Deal used to do, and get that crowd just going. I mean, I could still hear it in my head.
Yeah.
And the whole place would be chanting it, and I just wanted to do that one last time for that crowd, and I didn't do it, but it was like I couldn't help but think that, you know.
Yeah.
It's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit. That's his team.
Well, and being a coach now, too, I mean, it's when everybody's in it for one common goal, which is to win, it makes things pretty cool. And when you don't care about how many points you score, because that's what most kids care about. But I never felt that back then. It was more about we just want to win. And all that other stuff would take care of itself, which it did. And it stems from the top, like I said, when you got Adam passing the ball like he did, it made everybody else just kind of do it too. And I mean, there were a lot of good players on that team. So
we had a tight-knit group, I felt. And then when I was a senior, then we were definitely, I mean, we were all friends. And I'd like to think to this day that we're all like, you know, like we just got that bond. And like you see those guys, and just give them a hug and just, you know, catch up with them. And so those are some of the things that stand out, just like how much we worked hard, but we had a lot of fun in what we were doing too.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing, is like Adam was just such an unselfish player, and when your best player is so unselfish, like they were just, I feel like we didn't have any egos or attitudes or anything, you know, and it was just like everybody loved to pass the ball, and that's like starts when your best guy is, you know, averaging double-digit assists a game, and like just how fun it was to play with all those guys.
I'd like to read to you right now a letter I received from an administrator here at the school, and it kind of puts the rest of this in perspective of how I feel. In fact, I couldn't have written it better. This is for all of you. Dear Coach, what a season it has been. Thanks for making this school year one which we will long remember. The positive impact made by you and which every team member brings about our unique, high-spirited community. As I sat in the stands with my family, friends, and longtime acquaintances, pride raced through my veins. Pride in having the opportunity to witness the quality of basketball and team play that defines the tournament champion. Pride in observing individual effort resulting from the components which encompass the discipline of the game. Pride in knowing that the character displayed on the court is enhanced by what is practiced beyond it. Wait until next year is not an empty cliche. Indeed, success can and will likely pass this way again. For many, let me say it, I am looking forward to it. Indeed, as I recaptured the emotional balance, it becomes apparent that March of 1994 will long be remembered with pride. As it was heard before each contest, is that the play of the game certainly took place. Congratulations. And that is the truth with all of you guys.
Probably my biggest nervous moments was that we were going to get too cocky And looking back at this group of kids, they were never that kind of. You guys never had that disposition about you. You were just the same kids coming out and playing. Now, whether we were shooting the ball that well to start with, usually but like I said, so many games we'd come out and we'd go up 15 in the first quarter on a team and come out and go to the next 8 points in the second quarter, and we're up 20 before the game's really even started. So I'm sitting Adam and Brad, and the great thing is a lot of kids get to play a lot of minutes that year, where a lot of times that doesn't always get to happen for you, and so it was. I was never nervous about getting beat. I was nervous about not playing real well.
Yeah. That was a good look string, because, man, how many? Because we won at districts my senior year. Didn't we win districts like 4 or 5 years in a row after that?
I know 3 straight. We won it 3 straight years.
3, because yeah.
And then the group behind that, which would have been Eric Green's senior year, they won a league, but we didn't win the district.
Okay.
So, I mean, we had a good 4 or 5 year run.
So I don't know how long. I mean, there was a lot of success that probably built just from that season, and the winning attitude and the camaraderie and that stuff. I mean, I think the next 5 to 10 years was built just off of that. Those can give you an extra win or two just by having that. So
we set the tone, and I love that phrase, because that's a good way to put that team. Is we want to set the tone. That was our goal. Was we're going to play our way and let the chips fall where they may. We always felt like going into any game, it was our game. We're setting the tone. We're going to do what we want to do, and try and stop us. That was our mentality.
And that was the Channel 6 guy there. Ackley.
Yeah.
He loved us.
You found that, right? Like we were the team of the week or whatever?
Yeah, they picked you guys to team
I
of the week
remember
after coming to Christian. I'm like, you guys couldn't have picked a better week?
I had forgotten all about that, honestly. But we
I
were
feel like
team
we
of the
were
week.
like team of the week by a couple different.
Yeah.
Like maybe like Channel 10 or something.
Time now for our Playmakers TV6 Team of the Week award, and even though they got beat last night, the Hoop Squad in Dansville had one heck of a run this year.
Well, the madness of March has been sweeping through the town of Dansville. The Aggies, losers in the state quarterfinals last night by 3 points, but they finished the season at 23-3, and it was the first appearance in the state quarters in 37 years for Dansville. Congratulations, Coach Jim McNally. You're our TV6 Team of the Week. Thank you very much.
Out of the team, great season, great support from the whole community. It was a lot of fun, and unfortunately, it did have to end. But you don't look at the end as being the way the season went. It's what we accomplished along the way is what we'll remember.
They cheer a lot louder after they won a game, but they had a great season.
I swear, I remember Brad coming home one night, or Saturday or whatever, and he said, "We got mentioned on ESPN." Wow, that's impressive.
I remember hearing that. I did not see it, but I remember somebody saying that we were mentioned on there. I don't know if anyone's got documentation of it or anything.
I looked, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
When I heard that sounded awfully familiar. That was something that did take place that year. But the details of it, I couldn't remember either. So
some of the accomplishments now I'd like to read to you. We ended up with 23-3 overall, 18-2 in the regular season, took second place in the conference. We were never ranked, we were always ranked in the rankings. The highest was 8th, and we were ranked 3 weeks #1 in Class B basketball. We were district champs, regional champs, quarterfinals. And that is your 1993 boys basketball team.
To say that season was a winning season was an understatement. It set the tone for many winning seasons to come. It gave us an opportunity to look back and reminisce once again on the 30th anniversary of this team and their accomplishments and what it truly means to be an Aggie.
that team, I think, will be remembered for generations to come. And I really believe that. And to be a part of that, it was really an honor.
I sat next to Bobby on the bleachers, and that picture, he taps me on the shoulder. He's like, Brad, look at that picture. Like, in that picture, we don't know how this is going to end. We still think we're going to win the title. We're having fun, all this kind of stuff. And it just hit me hard right then and there.
You're just part of it. You're just on the journey. You're on the ride. You can be part of something great. That's going to help you kind of later on in life. And I just want to be a part of it. And then from there, you just got a bunch of friendships. You got a bunch of guys that like each other. You got a bunch of guys that like hanging out with each other. And I think that's where basketball comes, right? And you have a team that can go that level. Guys like to hang out with each other and they want to play ball and good things happen with it. I think that's kind of why that group went so far. That team was so far because you guys wanted to play.
I just still think like just how grateful I am just to have that experience, to grow up like that. And just we were kind of like the Hoosiers a little bit, like just that small little school in the middle of nowhere. And then we had something to be proud of.
I remember going to the locker room, I was almost speechless. I really didn't know how to say goodbye to these kids or what to say. It sure as heck wasn't something I was had written to prepare to do, that's for sure, and it got me. I was just it was surreal almost.
Kind of like what they say, like it's the journey, not the destination. On that journey, that season could have lasted forever, and I would have just been happy the rest of my life because it was so much fun. Like we were just it was like, but it had to come to an end at some point, and losing those seniors was really hard because I'm not going to play again with Adam anymore. I'm not going to, it was, and that was the toughest part is that it had to come to an end. Not really that we lost, that the season came to an end.
Well, I called you up just the other day. You said you'd be around. About 1 to 5, you weren't sure whenever I felt the vibe. You balled with me, you drilled the 3. His name is Bradley T. He loves the land, the songs for him, and how he loves his tree, Bradley's tree. We grew up shooting hoops, you see, under the protection of thick pine trees. Whoever would play is who we saw that day. The laughs wouldn't stop no matter what they say. Now when they ask how we know sound, just tell them that I am never ever going to let you down. How about now? How about now? You came down to see the floods with a stogie in your mouth. A hot sibling came to you and said, hey, put it out. Your brothers made some DVDs and gave one right to me. Then I filled the bowl, got on the roll, and a little all just for you. Just for you.